And we're back. So this is everything I got for the month of August 2023. Pretty decent stack of singles. As I hinted last month, there's definitely a few new books here. And I got a pretty decent stack of trades as well. So let's just dive right into it. Starting off with Miss Truesdale and the Fall of Hyboria, issue number 4. Just checking inside cover. Sometimes they say if there's how many issues there are. But yeah, last issue was really good. The book kind of takes place in two timelines. You have Miss Truesdale in what is her present time, early 1900s or something, and then there's this woman, this warrior slave in Hyboria in the past. And Miss Truesdale has been having these visions of this past life. And the last issue, she actually dies, and then she is now living this life. So she went from the visions to now being in his body, remembering that she's Miss Truesdale as well. So that's kind of interesting. It's a bunch of like ancient gods and things that are happening as well. And I do think they're leading up to, again, they're still hinting that the right-handed doom, there's a story about the person that had the right-handed doom. Before it was just like, it was actually part of them, it was part of Hellboy. But I digress. It's been a really fun book, really digging this one. So I hope there's one more issue after this, but we'll see. Lonesome Hunters, The Wolf Child, issue 2. Oh yeah, this has got a nice little wraparound cover as well. Last was good. So our hunters are trapped, not trapped, they're stranded for the time being. Their car broke down, and the main character, I can't remember his name, but he's gonna get rid of the sword. That's the whole thing that's causing all this trouble. But a church that he actually was part of when they got the sword is out to get him now. And the young girl she follows this wolf child into the woods, who I'm pretty sure may or may not be a werewolf. But yeah, so far so good. I'm really digging it. Panya, The Mummy's Curse, issue 2. Definitely is the origin of Panya, the mummy from BPRD. So first issue was pretty, well, it's a fun book. I'm digging it so far. And definitely kind of hinting at how she got her powers. And yeah, kind of telling more. So I think this is probably going to be maybe 4 issues. There's no like clear villains. I think it's more just her story and her growing old, probably, and becoming who she, as we know her in BPRD. Big Game issue 2. So yeah, they definitely killed some heroes in the first one. One of the characters from Mark Miller, well, all the characters from Mark Miller's book, but there's one, he's like a super spy. He's also super, super smart. He's like the smartest guy in the world. He meets up with this woman that it was basically like a Robin, like a sidekick when all the heroes were killed in 1985. And she's bringing him into the fold to tell him the true history of the world, and that the villains have taken over and needs his help. Meanwhile, Nemesis goes and kills a couple heroes from the Ambassadors, which is actually a graphic novel, a series of stories, I should say that I haven't read. I actually have the collected version. I should read that first, I guess. And yeah, a bunch of pieces are moving to play. You see characters from Hitman and some other things. The only thing I don't understand is like something that one of the other series I read quite a bit of in the Mark Miller universe, which they kind of hint as part of this as well, is the Magic Order. So the Magic Order has been protecting magic for centuries. So how are they not affected? Maybe there's going to be some sort of reveal that they knew and they just let it happen or something. Who knows? They do show the Jupiter's Legacy characters from the comic on TV, just like, yeah, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, so far so good. The art is really good. Pepe Lores is killing it. So. The Immortal Thor, issue number 1. This is by Al Ewing and Martin Cocolo. I'm definitely going to miss that. But Al Ewing, he did the Immortal Hulk, which was like a legendary run. I have only read it like online through the app. So when he's kicking off a new book that's on the Immortal line, I figured, why not get on board early? So yeah, we'll see. I like Thor as a character. I like Al Ewing as a writer. I like all the stuff for the Defenders books over the years. Have been really good. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. It's a nice fat issue 1. Is there any... Oh, no reprints in the back. That's great. I like a good fat single issue. Moving on. The Plot Holes. This is Sean Murphy's new book. Sean Murphy mostly has been doing like the White Knight books. But this is his own kind of creator-owned book through a publisher called Massive. The idea is these characters are literary characters in books, and they travel from story to story, preventing or getting rid of plot holes. So kind of an interesting take. I'm a big fan of Sean Murphy. I love his art. His storytelling is a lot of fun too. So looking forward to that. Black Hammer, the end. This may or may not be the final Black Hammer series. We'll see. The last series ended with the Black Hammer, who's the daughter of the original Black Hammer, and her family escaping the Black Hammer multiverse to the real world. And they know that they are just characters in stories, and they actually escape to the real world. So we'll see where this goes. I'm sure, yeah, it's going to get a little wild, but yeah, I really like the Black Hammer series start to finish, so I'm looking forward to this. Ultimate Invasion number 3? That seems weird. Oh yeah, I read issue 2 last month. Okay, sorry, out of my head I'm spacing out here. But yeah, issue 2 continues on with the maker creating his own version of the Marvelverse. And the first page is very Hickman-esque, like wall of text of all the different heroes. So let's see. Howard Stark is Iron Man. He's still alive. Tony's his son, who's like a late teens, early 20s. I don't know. But his dad is Iron Man. His business partner is Sebastian Stain, of who normally is a villain. They work together as not as heroes. They show mutants. So there's no like X-Men, but like Sunfire and his family are the ambassadors of Japan for heroes. Magic, Rasputin, and his brother like Russia. The Hulk is a monk. Like he has this list of like, okay, I control the Hulk. I eliminated this hero. I stopped this hero from becoming a hero to just try and shape it. But everyone knows the maker in this world is someone who's done good. And the story is that the maker is calling all these people, Tony Stark, Sebastian Stain, the mutants, the Hulk, all the heroes, we'll say, to Latveria, where he's got his own city set up. And when they get there, suddenly everybody, including the makers, attacked by a multiversal version of Captain America's, Giant Man, Wasps, Visions, and yeah, they win. And then the maker takes Howard Stark into the city to show him what's going on, and reveals how the universe is basically shaped by him, and he needs Howard Stark's help, which is kind of cool. There's these two really cool concepts in this book. In the first issue, when the maker escapes, part of his plan for escaping the super prison is he recruited very specific people to form this like strike team and go in. Just regular people. They're not heroes or villains or anything. When they get to his cell and they free him, he basically is like, one of you is not who I wanted. He's like, oh yeah, that person dropped out last minute. He's like, Mom, okay, I'll have to make do. And then you find the reason he picked these 5 or 6 people is their genetic code, when mixed together, would match his. And he basically reforms all of them into a copy of him that will sit in a cell. He walks away. And now that because one of them is not the one he wanted, he's just like kind of a moron. He's just sitting there kind of brain dead. In issue 2, when he gets attacked by these multiversal versions, you then later find out that some of them are actually from the future of that universe and clones in the future, not multiversal versions. So to try and prevent this from happening again, he literally goes and finds checks their DNA, their genome, finds all their ancestors who are living in his time at that point, gathers them up, kills them, and then you see all the prisoners just die instantly. They just melt away into goo because he killed their parents and stuff. So yeah, classic Hickman stuff there. Really cool. Void Rivals number 3. Again, second issue was still a lot of fun. They escape the planet that they're stuck on. They get picked up by some weird space pirates. And I was like, oh, maybe this will be like characters from Hasbro. I didn't recognize them. So I don't think this book's going to tie in too much with like Transformers, maybe. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I just don't know enough about Transformers. But so far, still dig it. You learn a bit more about the past of each character and realize that probably at some point they were the same race and they're just slightly divided in some sort of ideology, I guess. So we'll see what's there. I Hate Fairyland. The Gerts won. They beat the Gert that we know and love. So we'll see. Maybe that's a cop out, but the last page ended with Gert losing to the one Gert was left alive. So, but it's still a really fun issue. So we'll see how it goes. Again, second issue of the unbelievable, unfortunately mostly unreadable, and verily unpublishable Untold Tales of I Hate Fairylands. The first issue was a ton of fun. I was laughing out loud. It's like, I think every chapter was really good. So what's really neat is as you flip through, see, oh, this guy's back. This story, the first one, this artist, like, it was so good. I could watch a cartoon of this. But yeah, you get a nice little creator credits. So you get to learn more about them, which is really nice. I learned that Dean Rankin, who does this to this style, has worked on like a ton of my favorite cartoons, like Simpsons and Family Guy and a bunch of Cartoon Network stuff. So yes, new Hellboy spinoff, BP Hellboy the BPRD 1957 from Below. I think this is just a one shot. Most of these are getting one shots. Let me just double check the back. Flip it, flip it. The end. So that's great. I love a good one shot. I love Hellboy, obviously, and yeah, be interesting how they collect these. I've never actually looked into it. I'd be curious if they do like these. I guess once they're done, if you just have like each omnibus or collections like a year. Kind of cool. Last but not least, another new series, The Sacrificers by Rick Remender and Max Fiumara. Big Rick Remender fan. I read a lot of his stuff. I don't get everything he does. Some things I'm just like, not quite my jam as I look through the previews, but this really stood out. But also, I really like Max Fiumara. He did art on the Abe Sapien solo series, so I kind of a fantasy story, I guess, but we'll see. I don't know. A lot of Rick Remender stuff starts and it's like, you know, there's like the premise, and then just like by the time the first arc done, it's off the rails. So I think back like Black Science and stuff like that. So yeah, decent stack of singles, couple new books in there. Things like Sacrificers, that's an ongoing one shots. This Fairyland one, that's like a mini series, I guess you'd call it. Void Rivals is ongoing. I'm gonna like, I know I'll stick with this probably till the end, unless it's like I don't like it. I've never read a Rick Remender series. I was like, I don't want to finish this. Void Rivals, I like Robert Kirkman. It's fun so far, so I'll probably keep that one longer than 6. We'll see what happens with 6 issues. And then yeah, well, Black Hammer at the end, that's definitely a miniseries. Plothole's a miniseries. Immortal Thor is an ongoing. So I don't know. I like Al Ewing, so I don't know. I haven't read like an ongoing by him in a long time, so I'll probably stick with that one as well. So I'll have to see what else I got out there and what might be ending or what's getting cut. But moving on to the trades. It's a heavy trade month for August. Up first, I got a book called It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth. It's an autobiographic novel. So you can tell from the title, by Zoe Thorogood. I've read a lot of good stuff about this online, so I wanted to check it out. But I believe she wrote this while during COVID. Like, it's kind of like her time there. But yeah, jumps around kind of some slightly different art styles and things like that. But I really like autobiographical books, so definitely want to check that out. Moving on, The Ambassadors by Mark Miller. These are characters that are showing up in the big game that I didn't recognize or know. So I actually got this before I signed up to get this book before I decided to get the big game. But the process book is, what if you have the ability to give people superpowers? Who you choose? What I like about this too is each chapter is got art by a different artist. So you got Frank Quitely, Trevor Tourist, Oliver Copiel, Scalera, Kerschel, whose names I don't remember. First names I don't remember. Yeah, Matteo Scalera, I should have known that one. Carl Kerschel, I should have known that one. Matteo Buffanaghi, I don't quite recognize that, but that's okay. That's okay. 1, 2, yeah. But this should be a lot of fun. I think Mark Miller's got really good ideas when it comes to these kind of stories. So, yes, moving on. Another Berserk, what can I say? I don't know. I've been getting these for a while now. This is volume 12, so I'm close to catching up to where they're at. We'll just publish things out. I think they're up to 14, so by October I'll get volume 13, and by the end of the year I'll be all caught up, unless I haven't seen the December previews are not out yet, so I don't know if they'll be publishing a volume 15 this year. But either way, I'll be caught up by the end of this year, so it did not take very long. But I'm way behind. I'm nowhere near like even. Oh, this is only 12. I was like, I'm not even at volume 10, so I'm actually not too bad. But Yeah. Moving on though, Den Volume 1. I was really looking forward to this book. I'm really glad that Dark Horse is like working with Richard Corbin's family to publish his stuff, because it's next to impossible to find this in any reasonable price, and it's really great to have it in this like really slick, really well put together hardcover. And it's Richard Corbin. He's like one of the best artists of all time, in my opinion. I always got my rule about dust jackets. Is a dust jacket good? Do I keep it? Do I get rid of it? Thing is, the art in the inside cover is fantastic. Like, what's interesting is this is a lot darker than this, but that's because there's some nudity on that there. But yeah, the back is pretty simple, nothing going on there. But this dust jacket is really nice. I really like the presentation, as I mentioned in the last volume, of the golds. So that's really fun. And very much looking forward to reading this. I really can't flip this open because there's nothing but naked people throughout this entire book. First time I ever saw Den or heard of Den, before I even knew who Richard Corbin was, I was a young boy with my family watching TV on a Friday, and my mom saw on TV Guide that there was this movie called Heavy Metal. It was an animated film, and John Candy was doing a voice, so she's like, oh, we should watch that. None of us knew what we were about to view. Heavy Metal obviously is a science fiction, anthology book, and they made this movie back in like the 80s, I think 80s. And it's very adult. It's mature. But the Den is one of the first. Well, the first story is this little girl talking to a ball from space, and it's kind of terrifying just the way it's animated. But then it goes these short stories, and one of them is Den, and that's the one John Candy voices mostly. And Den's basically a boy who gets pulled to another universe and turns into Den, who's just this giant buff naked dude who's running around with a giant schlong and just like beating the crap out of people. And pretty much everybody's naked. It's great. But yeah, it's Richard Corbin. Like, let me just randomly. Oh, naked people. There's just so many. Yeah. No. It's like there's always just yeah. Very much looking forward to this. I know they've got volume 2. I've seen that solicited. I'd be very curious to see. I hope they do a bunch of his stuff. There's like, as I mentioned, the last volume I got, like, just keep getting it. I'll keep buying these as long as they keep making them. So very happy. And then last, I got the hardcover collection of the Last Shaolin Cowboy story, Cruel to Be Kin. This story ends the current, I guess, trilogy of stories that Jeff Darrow did at Dark Horse. I'm sure there'll be more, but yeah, this is just like a fantastic Shaolin Cowboy story. Like, I can't complain. I love Jeff Darrow's art, and this book is just rad. What's interesting, actually, I saw in an interview, there's some pages he actually added just to help with the flow of it, because of, it was printed in single issues. He'd have a hard end on one side, you always end on this page or something, but he added some pages and stuff. Like, look at this drawing here. This is a one-off. This creature just only shows up here this one time because these Komodo dragons are telling stories about the cowboy, but that is such a crazy design. And the detail and everything, like, just, oh man. It's even crazy when he gets into this city, and like, you just have all this detail and all the buildings and the graffiti and the signs, and it's just, he has a lot of fun. What I really like, because you don't get to see a lot of it, is in the back. Obviously, there's some great covers in here. I think he's got a cover by... Obviously a cover by Magnola. They're good buddies. Come on, where are you? I know you're in here. Yeah. Katsuo Torada. Man, that guy doesn't do a lot of work, like, ever, I feel like. So that was a nice surprise to see that in there. It's just a page. James Herron, awesome. But yeah, this is, you get these, like, how he does his breakdowns. His pencils, his thumbnails, layouts. Like, obviously there's not a ton of detail. There's more than you would kind of expect, but then you can go from like that to, I don't even know if I can, okay, let me find another. Either way, there's just lots of detail here. It's really good. So yeah, that's done. There's only one hardcover of the Shaolin Cowboy I don't have, and it's no longer in print, so I'm kind of bummed out by that. Yeah, that's everything I got so far. That's it. Well, for the month of August, lots of stuff to read, lots of stuff to catch up on. Lots of good single issues I'm looking forward to. No sagas in a little while, but the last one ended on a banger, like ended on a high note. That's also really sad. So they usually take a couple of months between those. But Mrs. Truesdale's looking really good. Looking forward for Thor. Ultimate Invasion's a ton of fun. This book's hilarious. So yeah, and then of course just tons of graphic novels to catch up on as well. So as always, just let me know what you think. Send me your cheers, and I'll see you next month.